Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Vivimos juntos.
We live united.
We live united.
I live united.
Welcome to Live United. I'm your host, Milton Little. Today, we're going to talk about a concept significant in all of our lives, financial stability. Are you one of the 77 million Americans that do not pay all of their bills on time? Or part of the 39% of Americans that carry credit card debt over from month to month? How would you rate yourself when it comes to financial education? You'd probably be surprised to hear that 2 in 5, that's 20% of American adults, give themselves a C, a D, or even an F in their knowledge of personal finance. But what are the stats for Greater Atlanta? Well, did you know that 40% of families in Greater Atlanta are classified as working poor? What that means is their wages likely do not cover basic needs, even though many of those people are working more than 50 hours a week. At United Way of Greater Atlanta, we firmly believe that all individuals and families should have the tools they need to be free from financial worry. To achieve this vision, we provide people with access to financial education, job training assistance, with tax preparation, and more through a number of targeted initiatives and products. We're going to take a closer look at 2 of these today. One is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, also known as VITA. And the second is the Money Game mobile app. Since 2012, we have led the VITA program in Greater Atlanta in order to provide free tax preparation services to families with moderate to low incomes. In partnership with the IRS, United Way offers free tax preparation at more than 30 VITA sites throughout Greater Atlanta for qualifying families. We're going to hear more about this later in the show, but first, we're going to be joined today by 2 individuals behind the United Way of Greater Atlanta's Money Game mobile app powered by the SunTrust Foundation. Money Game is a free app providing a new way for people to become engaged in a subject that some may consider boring, and that's financial well-being. Money Game uses financial trivia to help users to learn how to become financially self-sufficient so they can do more than live from paycheck to paycheck. With more than 5,000 downloads to date, Money Game is providing financial education to users ages 16 and up throughout Greater Atlanta. With us today to talk about it are Lynette Bell, and she's the Senior Vice President of Community Development with SunTrust Bank, and Dan Gonzalez, co-founder at Dynamoid, partner at Hvck, and the developer of Money Game. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So let's get started with you, Lynette. Tell us a little bit about what you do at SunTrust, and tell us a little bit about the priorities of the SunTrust Foundation.
Well, at SunTrust, we are focused as a purpose-driven company. Our CEO several years ago decided that we would become a purpose-driven institution, and our purpose is to light the way to financial well-being. So part of my job and responsibility at SunTrust is managing the community development program, which again specializes in how do we provide access not only to capital, but provide access to services for working families, for micro to small businesses, and provide working families with the opportunity for affordable housing, whether it's home ownership or to get rental housing. And so my job covers a gamut of how do we build relationships in the community falling under corporate risk regulations. And so it's a fun job to actually get out in marketplace and meet with community-based organizations and nonprofits and figure out how do we really help assess and address the needs of this community. And so at SunTrust, when we work with United Way as our great partner, and we've been partnered for years with United Way, we felt it was clear that this was the organization to help us not only drive the purpose of lighting the way to financial well-being, but to help you and many of the organizations associated with United Way and their constituents to become financially fit.
So we're going to talk about Money Game in a
Yes.
second. So what kind of specific initiatives does the SunTrust Foundation have in place to achieve that mission?
So the foundation has, as its primary focus, is financial well-being. And that's working with community-based organizations and nonprofits to help them propel education facilities and services out in communities. That's number one. Number two, we got to focus on workforce readiness. You know, you talked about earlier in your piece that 40% of Americans would give themselves a C or lower rating on assessing how they are financially fit or not. And two, that 77 million Americans are in credit debt or have high levels of debt. And so our job is to ensure that not only do we prepare them with financial education services, but how do we get the workforce to continue to move up the continuum so that people can provide the stability for the families that they need. And so that's another focus of the foundation. Of course, we do other philanthropic avenues with nonprofits and community-based organizations, but our primary two focuses are financial well-being and workforce readiness.
So the kind of statistics you cited a second ago, the reasons behind developing the Money Game app?
So yeah, as we looked at financial education, and how do we build confidence for consumers, how do we provide financial well-being, one of the things that we looked at was how do we help consumers take that financial stand and build financial confidence wherever they might be. And so when we looked at becoming a purpose-driven institution like other private sector companies, there are many, like Apple is a purpose-driven company, it's all about the business. A bank is a bank is a bank is what we said, but we could differentiate ourselves a little bit by saying, how do we help not only consumers, small businesses, families build the wealth or accumulate the wealth that they need for their financial future, and whatever that goal may be, whether it's home ownership or being in a stable rent environment, but building that piece of it. And we said, who's the best partner to do that with that has access to multiple organizations and agencies, who understands the needs of marketplace in Atlanta? And we clearly went to United Way as that primary partner because we have been joined at the hip for a number of years, as you well know, and we know that you have your finger on the pulse of the needs of this community. And so we thought, what a great way. And so as we met with United Way partners, we talked about financial stability and capability for families, and we said, how can we help you meet those constituents' needs in a way that's easier? One of the things that the Center for Financial Stability and Innovation talked about is that over 93% of Americans, consumers, have a mobile app. Whether you're old, young, you have a capability that gives you access not only to the World Wide Web, but it gives you access to apps and other information. So we said, what about using our financial education or financial well-being content, placing it in a mobile application and providing it to United Way to dispense to their agencies and to constituents of those agencies around Metro Atlanta. So that's how we came up with a great concept. And we thought we're going to be high tech and into the 21st century in a real major way.
And that's a great way to sort of bring Dan into the conversation. Before you talk about the development of the app, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a software developer by trade, but have been involved in product development for most of my professional career. I work with, I co-founded a startup in the Bay Area. We work with virtual reality and finding new and exciting ways to visualize giant data sets, so financial data, healthcare data, things like that. And I also work with companies to help them build their own digital products and launch them to market.
So how did all of that come together with SunTrust and United Way in the creation of this app?
Yeah, well, I was actually brought into the project several years ago. I've been with the Money Game project since the beginning, working with Lynette and the rest of the United Way team. And it really, we started small. We started with the simple idea of making this topic area, financial literacy, which you said kind of has a bad rap of being boring or stale, and finding a way to reinvent that content to make it more appealing to the users we wanted to reach.
Anybody who's seen any of the usual financial education material, sort of, it is kind of dry and boring. Mm-hmm. So tell us about how you decided that an app could bring this stuff alive and make it interesting enough for people to come back and really learn through that process.
Right. Well, as Lynette said, 93% or more people have access to smartphones and applications that can run on those smartphones. So number one right off the bat is getting this sort of application, this experience in front of consumers. So that was kind of the first step out of the gate for us. But the second was also to explore different ways through creating content within the application that can make it more relatable, because when you relate to somebody and their own personal, not struggles, but their personal things that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, that makes the content more relevant to them and instantly more interesting to them.
Were there other money, sort of credit education or financial education apps out there that you knew about?
There were several that we knew about at the time, and we mainly used those as kind of a recipe of what not to do. Mm-hmm. Like you said, a lot of the applications in the space have been there for a long time and they haven't really evolved and grown, and we really wanted to do something different to make an impact.
So how is this different?
Well, it's different in a number of ways. We use several different modules that we've created. So we have the application broken down into 8 modules. They cover different topic areas, and the user can actually choose their own path. They can select modules and content that's appropriate to them. So if you're a college student, you want to start thinking about, okay, how do I pay for college? What do I do when I graduate? These are some of the things that I need to think about. I don't necessarily need to worry about retirement today, but maybe I do at some point in the future. So depending on the user, we can really hit a broad range of users with the application and the content that we've created that makes us, I think, really differentiated from a lot of the other offerings.
So what I hear you saying is going and playing with this app and the fun pieces of it, I can still come out with some real solid, substantive knowledge on some important financial topics that are important to me and my family.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Well, that's pretty amazing. Every
Yeah,
app I see is, I'm playing more games than I am learning. So,
Yeah, exactly.
So for you to be able to do something. So how excited are you that this is just gaining some traction out there?
So I was project manager for the app, and so I was heavily invested in the process and thought that what a great way to do self-directed learning. A lot of working families cannot come to classes, and having to come to a class that, clearly instruction is good. A lot of people learn that way. But if I work odd jobs or work different shifts, then there's no way I can come to a class. Here's a way to do self-directed learning. I don't have to be embarrassed about my lack of knowledge or my understanding of money, but here gives me an opportunity to have an app that I can learn at my leisure or fast-paced it if I need to. And so as project manager, I was heavily invested in the content that we provided around it. We got subjects from how to be a better money manager, how to live a debt-free life, identity theft, which is really crucial now since many people use different phone services and then tap into different Wi-Fi networks. You got to know how to protect yourself in this day and age of sci-fi. So we clearly feel really excited about this and thought this was a great avenue to do self-directed learning for people who are working, who don't have time to come to a class.
Amazing. And before we go, so where's somebody get it? How do they get it? Where do they download it from?
You can find it on the Apple iTunes Store, the Google Play Store for Android devices, and it's also available on the web at moneygameapp.com.
Easy to access, easy to use,
Exactly.
Great way to learn. Wow, Lynette, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Dan, for everything that you have done.
Of course.
But thanks both of you for bringing the Money Game app to the people who need it most. And we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Priya, and I'm the spokesperson for United Way. United Way helps make communities awesome, but do you know they have a lot of help? Well, now you do. United Way has a ton of help from people just like you. Oh, and me. People like us, I like to call communitarians, because we care a lot about our communities. For us, caring means doing something, and United Way helps turn all of our caring into a whole heck of a lot of doing. United Way is powered by awesome communitarians. You should totally join us. And hey, I know the best way in. Hi, I'm Priya, the spokeskid for United Way, and I'm here to tell you how United Way's Impact Fund makes our community awesome. When you give to the Impact Fund, good things happen. We build teams of nonprofits to work together to help kids stay in school, make sure they have a doctor to go to, and help our communities become better places to live. So what are you waiting for? Give to United Way's Impact Fund to keep making our community awesome. Hi, I'm Priya, the spokesperson for United Way. United Way and dedicated community partners have teamed up to create the Financial Capability Network, where trained financial coaches help people in our community become financially literate. That means teaching people things like how to track spending. I think I found a problem. Half of these are for gummy worms. It means teaching people how to build savings. Gotta start somewhere. And it means teaching people how to plan for the future. Wow, at this rate, when I'm 16, I won't have to shake my folks down for a car. United Way's Financial Capability Network is awesome.
Welcome back to Live United. In our next segment, we will continue our discussion on financial well-being with Olivia Alston, a manager on the United Way of Greater Atlanta Income Team and Michael Devault, a VITA site coordinator at Osborne High School in Cobb County. As we discussed earlier in the show, 40% of families in Greater Atlanta are classified as working poor. Too many of these hardworking families pay hundreds of dollars in tax preparation fees and still fail to claim significant tax credits, such as the Earned Income Tax Credit. United Way recognized the need to ensure hardworking families earn, keep, and save their income. And that's why we partnered with the IRS to alleviate this burden for thousands of families every year. Olivia and Michael, thanks for coming. We're happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
So Olivia, let's start with you. Sure. Tell us a little bit about what you do at United Way, and then tell us a little bit about the VITA program and who qualifies for it and just exactly what it does.
Sure, absolutely. VITA is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. So as the name implies, volunteers prepare taxes. However, these volunteers are trained and certified through the IRS, and it is an IRS initiative, but they've chosen to allow United Way to carry this out for them. In the Greater Atlanta area, we use a coalition model. So we have approximately 30 sites where we do tax preparation for individuals. We do Schedule Cs, which is small business. We can do prior year returns. We can do amended returns. We can also do returns, I said small businesses. So we do a variety of returns for the community. We target individuals that earn around $55,000. That's our target area. Families or individuals with income in that range of folks that we target. The volunteers that prepare the taxes, they are trained and certified, and they have to go through a test each year. One of those tests is an ethics test. So I always like to tell people that VITA is a very safe and smart way to have your taxes prepared, and it's free. So that makes it even better.
That sounds great. What prevents people from filing their taxes? I mean, it's something you're supposed to do, but what gets in people's way?
It absolutely is something that you're supposed to do. And the IRS estimated that $1 million is left in unclaimed refunds. Not every year, but most years. Mm-hmm. In Georgia, that estimate goes to about 36,000 people that didn't claim about $31 million in refunds. So a lot of money goes unclaimed because people don't file. And the reason they don't file is as varied as the people that we see at our VITA sites. Some people don't file because they feel like, oh, I haven't filed in so many years, I'm nervous, I may be audited, or I may have a tax issue if I file now. What I tell people is that is rarely the case. What the case really is that some people may get a refund that they did not claim. And so if you have not filed your taxes within the last 3 years, I encourage people to file those, because if you are due a refund, you can claim that refund and receive it. Now, if you wait past that 3-year time frame, that money then belongs to the Department of Treasury. So you're unable to file then. Other people don't file because they may have a lien, a tax lien, or owe student loan debt. What I say to people is that you're going to pay the IRS now or pay the IRS later. So I encourage folks to go ahead and take care of that, get that out of the way, and then move on with a clean slate in the future so you can claim your refund as you are owed. And then finally, Milton, some people are just overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed, they're confused, they don't know what to do, where to go, they don't want to pay the money, they don't want to take the time. So as I said, VITA is a safe and smart way to have your taxes prepared, and if you don't know what to do or where to go, you should start by gathering your W-2s, gathering your charitable contribution information, gathering your health insurance information, and any other document that says on it, this information has been provided to the IRS. Gather all those documents, call 211, tell the United Way representative to help you locate a VITA site near them. As simple as that.
You made it sound really, really simple.
It is.
Michael, tell us about your experience at Osborne High School. I mean, that's a pretty unique setting, I would imagine, to have a VITA program.
Yes. Well, I've been partnering with VITA for 15 years now at 2 separate high schools. And it kind of started from the fact that I noticed a lot of our students were working part-time jobs, and they were either not filing their return, which they were probably leaving a lot of refund money on the table, or they were paying to have that done. So I just kind of saw a need to kind of help those students with that. The program really kind of grew from that. I partnered with the IRS, and have been doing so for 15 years. We use students as our volunteers. We have 2 classes that we teach. I work with another business education teacher at the high school, and we teach the students how to prepare tax returns and about the whole tax process, and then they get certified and do the returns for the community.
So they're doing these for adults?
Correct.
That must be a little disconcerting when you walk in there and see a kid the age of your own children doing your taxes.
Yeah, we've had a few people. I have to kind of let them know that everything is okay, and then an adult always looks over the returns. But the students, they grasp the concepts. Of course, the use of technology is so easy for them. They've grown up working with computers. And so it's just a process of understanding the steps necessary to put the information in the computer.
What a unique experience. So what kind of tax credits do the students, in this case, help those folks filing qualify to claim?
The biggest, as far as dollars that people could get potentially, is the Earned Income Credit. I think you mentioned that earlier. And for people making, let's say, $30,000 a year, and with 1 or 2 children, it could be a sizable amount of money that they could get back in credits, maybe up to $3,000, $5,000. Some other credits that we see our clients come in for are education credits. If either the client or one of their dependents is attending college, you can get significant money with those credits. And then child and dependent care, if the client has a child that's either in after-school program or in daycare during the day. And the other credit, let's see, education, child dependent, those are probably the largest dollar amounts that we see for our clients.
It must be exciting for your students to be able to make a difference in the lives of the folks who come to see that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I always see. I've had several instances where I've had a student that is very knowledgeable and bright student, but maybe very introverted. And then by the end of the tax season, they're so outgoing, they can sit down and have a conversation with the client. And to me, they may forget some of the things they learned with taxes, but being able to help others, I think they take away more from that than anything.
That's an amazing experience for these young people. Olivia, talk about the impact that this has on the community, to get people to file those taxes and to get those refunds. I mean, what difference does that make for all of us?
Sure, it has been a significant impact on the community. Our coalition here in the greater Atlanta area last year prepared over 15,000 returns, and that represented over $15 million in refund going back to the families that work hard to get their money and get their refund. Of that, over $5.5 million was a very valuable earned income tax credit that we hear so much about that. Over $2.2 million was the child tax credit. And we estimate that we have saved last year with preparing that 15,000 returns, we've saved about over $6.5 million in tax preparation fees. So that is major. That means a lot when you talk about a family that has lower income and they don't have to pay that $300 or $400 for tax preparation. So while that impact is significant, it represents, if you put all the numbers together, over $20 million in impact, we still have the ability to do so much more.
So say more about that, because you and I have talked in the past about the number of people that we serve is nowhere near the number of people who qualify.
Absolutely. the number of people we serve is nowhere near the number of people that qualify. And quite frankly, it is because this is such a well-kept secret in many circles. Many people have never heard of this service. Many people are like, the IRS does free tax prep? And I'm like, yes, we do free tax prep. And we do it in a safe and smart way. Safe and smart because our volunteers have to be certified, they have to be trained, they have to take an ethics test, and they have to do it every year. So it's just a matter of raising awareness, making sure people are aware of that, and making sure that people get the credits that they're entitled to, which you will get from a VITA site because you're doing it in a safe and smart way through volunteers that are trained and certified through the IRS.
So if you could make a plea to all those folks who are not filing those taxes, what would you say to them?
Again, like you said, that's one thing we have to do every year is file our tax return. And a lot of people are leaving a lot of money out there as far as not receiving their refunds. And coming to a VITA site is a good idea because you are saving that money because going to a regular preparer, a paid preparer, can cost you several $100s.
Well, we've seen a lot of impact, but we also see a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, particularly, Michael, for just all of the work that you're doing at Osborne with these students. I'm going to have to come up and visit and watch these students.
We would love to have you come up.
I might be a little intimidated by how well they know tax law, far better than I do, but it'll be great to see. And thank you so much for providing those leadership opportunities. Olivia, thank you so much for everything that you have been doing. This is a great way to help families in our community navigate what is an awfully stressful time of year, and that is tax season. So whether it's via an app that helps people better understand personal finances or helping working families keep more of their hard-earned income, United Way of Greater Atlanta is committed to supporting financial well-being all across our community. In fact, financial well-being is so important to our work that several of our key measures for assessing child well-being and community well-being as a whole rely on financial stability, employment, and housing cost burdens. We know that when adults in our community have access to the tools and resources necessary to achieve financial stability, our community's children are greatly impacted, and for the good. Moving from place to place and lacking proper nutrition are two of the factors most likely to put a strain on a child's ability to learn. All of these pieces are connected. So through programs like VITA and financial education, tools like Money Game, we can set families as a whole on a path to thrive. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.